Hey there, Kenneth French of Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're very, very happy you stopped by. Either you're going to watch this or listen to this because you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably an entrepreneur who's either just starting out or you've been around for quite a while and you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably a real estate investor, maybe even a real estate agent, maybe a professional or of some sort, professional advisor of some sort. And well, you are stopping by because you need some valuable advice from one of the top industry leaders there is. Anyway, thank you very much. Once again, Kenneth French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Really glad you stopped by.
Hey kids, you want your business to thrive with new business? Laurel Pendle's here. She's going to help us to help you business owners thrive, have a big, fast-growing business. What's up? How you doing, Laurel?
I'm doing terrific. Thanks so much for having me, Kenner.
You like that introduction? Kind of a random introduction, but I think it works.
That was random.
Right off the bat, we're going to be here hanging out for about a half an hour trying to add value to our viewers and listeners who really, small business owners all over the United States. They're trying to take their business to the next level. Why don't you give us one tip that you think can add value to those type of people?
Sure. Gosh, I have so many tips and tricks, but just to kind of narrow it down, I think having a strategy before you leap is essential in your business. And making sure that your mindset, well, that's two, making sure your mindset for leadership is positive and headed in the right direction, or your business will crumble.
Right. So give me an example, a case study where you've completely turned a business around.
Sure. There are lots of case studies on my website, but I won't bore you with all of the different details. But I would say a case study where I turned a company around. Gosh, there was a healthcare company I was working with. I was working with the CEO, CFO, and they were having some internal struggles with their not only their leadership, their stakeholders, but their employees. They were really growing and scaling too quickly without having the infrastructure and the strategy to kind of um, segment and solidify what they were doing in their business. And so I came in and helped them with a strategy to develop not only their internal structures with their employees, looking at give back programs, but also forward facing with their clients on the business development side, looking at how we could help with retention with their current clients, and came up with a relationship marketing program that really helped their business thrive so they could focus on the business and the clients that were really um, bringing in the profits versus ones that were bogging them down, that they were spending way too much time on.
It
So
kind of blows me away that so many business owners think, I'm going to go it alone. I don't need any consulting. And they spend whatever, hours and hours and hours just getting the same result without looking to external sources, like maybe you as a coach, as an example. So nice work. I like that. Before I forget, because I always seem to, how does someone get a hold of you if they're interested in your services, by the way?
sure. So Laurel Pendle is my name. I'm the founder of LPBC Services, and you can find us on all the different social sites. My website is laurelpendle.com. That's LAURELPENDLE.com. And or you can Google LPBC Services, and that will pop up in all different ways.
Could you spell that? What was that again? LP,
Sure.
can you repeat that real quick?
Sure. Laurel. So for my first name, LAUREL, Pendle, PENDLE.com.
Great. Awesome. So, and most of the people who are going to be watching and listening to this, these are all basically solopreneurs, a lot of which are in our community. And they, as I mentioned, they want to take their business to the next level. They might be real estate investors, they might be real estate agents, or, a solopreneur or owning a small business. So you've already outlined obviously some key things that would help them. What are kind of like here's an example. Let's say someone's brand new. I know you probably don't deal with that many brand new entrepreneurs, but someone who's brand new, who's thinking about leaving the W-2 world, and they might have a good idea, or a widget they sell that's bringing in whatever. I'll just make it up, $200,000, and they want to make more. What are some suggestions for someone who's just starting out? First of all,
Yeah, so our business really helps not only just the startup. Let's say it's an executive that's looking, like you said, to have they have the best idea, or they're wanting to turn their passion project into a business,
Hmm.
and so they have a nest egg. They're wanting to grow that business. They don't know the first thing about having to launch that business. So we help startups in that capacity. We also help businesses in that middle phase where they're really looking to grow and scale, and then we also help businesses on the exit side. Maybe someone's looking to retire. They've had their real estate business for many, many years. They're looking to, maybe hand it off to maybe a legacy partner, their friends or family, or they're looking to exit. We help with all of those varying markets. But to your point, the kind of that startup initial phase, we actually have a document, kind of a blueprint to help struggling businesses on our website. It's free. We've lots of resources as well. But really, it's basic goals and objectives. What do you want to achieve? And our sweet spot is helping to align profits with purpose.
Mm. Look at
So
you, a little bit of finance thrown in there, huh?
yeah, so it's not just about oftentimes, scaling too quickly. It's building that infrastructure, having that solid foundation, having that strategy, those goals and objectives really outlined before you leap, before, seek angel investors, or you're thinking about bootstrapping your own business. What is it that your competitors are doing? There's a laundry list of things from a leadership standpoint to sales and marketing, public relations that you can really, grow your business. But before all of that, you've got to have a strategy plan, marketing plan if you're looking to get funding. So there's a lot of questions that a small business owner or even a solo entrepreneur that's looking, to really start their business or their passion project really needs to think through before they leap. And so oftentimes they're straddling between corporate America and, starting their business, and that's okay. And so I help guide them. Our team does all along the way from that infancy stage to the growth stage to potentially the exit stage.
Ah, so you do everything in between. It's not only working with the startup, truly you do also work with the senior, the C-suite people. I got it.
Absolutely. And my background is working with small businesses and medium-sized businesses, not only from the real estate side. But I have a long history, long line of family members, entrepreneurs, business owners, key influencers, but investors too, real estate. So this segment is kind of my wheelhouse. I work for one of the largest trade associations for real estate in the country.
Oh, serious? Which
Yes,
one? Nice. Look at you,
yes,
Laurel. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. I started with Century 21 many years ago. Kept my license when inactive, and then the CEO of one of the largest trade associations for real estate said, "Hey, we love your talent with sales, marketing, public relations. Can you help? Can you help our leaders? Can you help our board? Can you help our members?" And I said, "Yes." So I,
Mm,
really helped for, I think it was 5.5 years, developing those strategic partnerships, working with brokers, creating those infrastructures, um, to build out those membership programs and the alliances between brokers, suppliers, agents. How does that all fit in? What do brokers need? What do the agents need? And so looking at from different mindsets, from the investor side to the partnership side. And then I handled all the media, so public relations director. So, a lot of breadth and knowledge, but really at the end of the day, it's all about creating, in my mind, profits aligning with purpose. Because, without relationships, um, you can't be successful, in my opinion.
yeah,
So,
I think I agree with that. It's the relationships that equal profit. That's the way I look at it. So, wow,
absolutely.
look at you. You're the right person to talk to our market. I love this. All right. So you brought something up. So you brought up marketing. So let me ask this: how are you marketing your business? And then that would obviously help some of our listeners and viewers because they can then see exactly what you're doing and maybe get some ideas from you. And then who knows, maybe even end up calling you.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So oftentimes, leaders and business owners work so much in their business, but not on their business. And so it's a delicate tightrope, especially for small businesses or solo entrepreneurs. You are just really in the weeds with your business. And it doesn't matter if it's a roofing company, if it's a real estate, investment company, property management, it doesn't matter. They are working diligently in their business, but not on their business. And you can't be everything to everyone. And so if that's not your skill set, I'd say outsource some of those opportunities. If you're looking for leadership skills, um, those are the opportunities where you really need to hire out. And so time is of the essence when you are a small business owner because you're driving your leads, you're talking about managing potential employees, you're looking at the bottom line, increasing visibility out in the community. um, what does your digital footprint look like? Do you have one? Do you have a website? Do you have social media? Is it all in sync? What's your branding look like? What's your messaging? So there's so much involved in just not only just marketing, but making sure your sales pipeline and your journey is consistent with your marketing as well. And are your internal employees ambassadors of your brand? Do they know what your company stands for? Do they know your why? Do they know the mission of the company? So they can be walking, talking salespeople at the same time as your marketing, and combining those two paths, the sales and marketing, they drive each other. And so, um, I guess some simple tips is making sure that you're diversifying. If it's being on one consistent platform, if it's LinkedIn, if you're looking at business owners and entrepreneurs and that's your path and you're not more B2B, then LinkedIn would be your sweet spot. Um, if you're, let's say, looking at creating a restaurant and you're looking at, potentially showcasing the food and the style and the brand, Instagram and some of those other platforms would be ideal. So it really depends on the business and where they want to go. But I would say, don't jump into all those different platforms because you got to be consistent. You can't just post once in a while. It has to be a consistent cadence with your business and making sure you're aligning with your target market. If you don't know who your audience is and you don't know really the communication style or their buying habits, those are all things to look at. And so often business owners just, they want a quick fix. They want that band-aid. They want that TikTok video. And, they don't have that solid foundation or that structure in their business. They don't have a marketing plan. They don't have a social media plan. So those are easy to develop once you know your goals and objectives and your why of your business. I keep coming back to profit, aligning your profit and purpose because that's in my mind, that's why we're here, is not just to create the numbers and the revenue and the generation of the profits. It's how do we do better in business? How do we do better in leadership? How do we cultivate those things out into the community? And if you're doing both of those things with a two-prong approach, creating business, profits, and purpose, it's going to equal success.
Yeah, I run a a series called Diary of a Failed Entrepreneur because I went to the big name grad school. I was supposed to be a big work for the big company, and I ended up working for a small company, basically retired pretty early, and then I decided to get back in the workforce. And there were a lot of things now looking back that I should have done that I didn't. And one, there's the way I look at it, there's two components of a company. One, research and development, meaning what type of widget are you selling or what kind of service are you providing? It's got to be a good one, number one. And then also on the marketing end. And I've failed. We're very good technologically, and as far as tech and I think service, at least we're getting a lot better as far as service. And then on the marketing front, I know all these marketing guys, big name marketing guys, and I've completely failed. I thought I was kind of too cool for marketing, to be blunt. I hate to admit it, but I do. And I thought, oh, business is going to come to us based on referrals, et cetera. But it's hard to scale that way. We do tax, finance, and artificial intelligence for entrepreneurs. And really what I found though is we can have all the greatest service and tech, but then again, if you're not doing a good job marketing, no one's going to know about your good widget that you're selling or your service. And so I think more business owners than ever, especially now, have got to understand that marketing is the key. And I think when I say marketing, yeah, a base minimum is a good website, and then social media. You have to have good social media and put yourself out there. It's easier than people believe, and if you don't, well, someone else is going to be getting eyeballs of the people that you're trying to market to.
Yeah, your
So why am I
competition is
mentioning
going to
that?
snap
Because
you
I'm
up.
mentioning because you and I met based on LinkedIn. I think you just sent me a pretty cool little birthday deal or whatever. But so what I would say is, what are you doing as far as social media? Because I did again notice you're pretty active on LinkedIn. What are you doing on social media to crank eyeballs to get views, at least to you?
Yeah, so I have a newsletter on LinkedIn that's called Entrepreneurial Edge.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And I think I have maybe 1,000 subscribers right now. So LinkedIn is my sweet spot for my business because, as I alluded, it's business to business, not necessarily business to consumer. And so that is my primary mode of not only targeting the right audience, but creating that value to give back. It could be strategies, it could be modalities, it could be mental health, ways to combat mental health for entrepreneurs, because so much of our time, as I said, is spent in the business, and we're trying to work on the business, and exhaustion, health issues surface with entrepreneurs. I think it's 50% of most businesses fail within the first year, and so people are really taxed, and with the economy, with the swings in the markets, and it's one of those things that without the mental health awareness and those leadership skills, businesses fail left and right. It's not because you didn't know your business, it's because you weren't taking care of yourself, you weren't, taking care of your employees internally. And so I put out a lot of articles and best practices and things like that on the newsletter. But also things that are really challenging. So much of us have imposter syndrome where we think we have to know it all and have every solution on social media, but that's not the case. Sometimes it's really just the stories that we tell. And so, crafting those stories in a way that resonate to your target audience is so key. And so if it's LinkedIn, if it's Facebook, if it's Instagram, or a combination of thereof, it's important to be consistent. And so we met on LinkedIn, but oftentimes, people, the worst thing you can possibly do is connect with someone and try to sell right away.
No, totally.
That's
Yeah.
one of the biggest pet peeves that I have is, you connect with someone, you think you're going to develop that human connection, or there's ways in which you can partner together and not see them as a competition. And the next thing you know, they're, wanting you to buy from them in the first 5 seconds. That is a definite no-no. So to just really developing those relationships with that potential customer, or it could be a thought leader, looking at things that they've wrote either on their blogs or websites, or things that they've done in their business, and really getting to understand what their business is like. How can you align or send them business? So it's really about cultivating that through partnerships and networking opportunities, and not looking to sell in that first connection.
It is pretty fun. By the way, let's do a quick reset. This is Laurel Pendle. She's with she's her own website actually. If you have any questions, just reach out to her. The aforementioned website. This is Ken French with Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. So let's talk about websites, because I think your website's pretty cool, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about kind of the design of your website, and really, I'm assuming it's bringing you in business. Otherwise, I can tell it is bringing in business. Give us a little bit of information about your website, and really how you've put it together and curated it in a way to bring in biz.
Yeah, sure. So thank you for that. Um, as far as my website is concerned, I think it's a constant, I just evolve. I'm Not only did I put the branding together and the content, I wrote my own content, it is evolving constantly. So if I have a new idea or a thought or a, a blog post idea, I instantly go in there. I have a sheet of paper and I am on it, like just putting new ideas down. It is not a stagnant website, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because
Mm.
so many people spend a fortune on these websites and nobody knows about them. They don't have, proper SEO. They don't have the proper branding. Oftentimes, they're not resonating with the target audience is content development. They don't have blogs. They don't have newsletters, ways to kind of, tap into their target audience. So, as far as my website is concerned, I really was thoughtful and intentional of how I created not only the services page, but what value I could bring to potential clients. I kind of segment different parts of my website from how did we get started? What's our story? To what are we most passionate about? Our values and beliefs and mission and our why. So that can also resonate with the correct audience. And so I do more vetting out sometimes than I do vetting in, because if they look at our website
Mhm.
and they say, we don't want to align profits with purpose, we don't care about heart center leadership, we don't care about, then that's probably not the right potential client for us. And so our website, I do a lot of behind the scenes, making sure that, like I said, that the SEO is ready to go, and you have to be consistent in blogging as well. So, if you hired that out, or if you're a really great storyteller, you can, kind of do that on your own. But the best kept secret sometimes is nobody knows about your website because you're not doing anything to provide visibility for your website. So you could spend $100,000 on the website that has the best bells and whistles. But at the end of the day, if nobody knows about it, they don't know how to contact you on social. If those avenues are not bridged correctly, and you're not sending people to your website or offering them any sort of value, those fall flat. And so you have to kind of cross promote often to get people eyeballs on your website as well as
That
social media. You have something to say, and you have to have provide value.
that
Or
totally reminds me about backlinks. I need to get more backlinks. Anyway, that's whole no- whole nother deal. But yeah, it's a whole nother point. So, very interesting. So, tell me a little bit more about the profit motive. I mean, what you're doing to help small business owners. Um, so, as an example, so here I'll think of an example of one of our clients. Let's see what you would do for one of our clients. Let's say this guy. Oh, I know. Yeah. So he's a client, got a website, and it's bringing tons of dough. The kids like I don't know. He can't be older than 28, right? He's in his mid 20s, and it's scaling up quickly. But they're spending mass ad dollars, so their net is very little. I don't know what their net is. Let's just say it's the net. So he's making. I bet you gross. He's probably grossing like 10 million, and his net is whatever $500,000. And I would say they're kind of his employees are all over the place, his contractors are all over the place. He's trying to get his finances in order, but he thinks he could do it all himself. So I know it's a random question. What would you do in that regard?
sure. So what type of business is it? Do you
What
know?
can I say? Yeah, I can say.
Is it like
Let's just say it's a type of
product or
insurance.
service?
It's a type of insurance.
Oh, okay. So um, he sells products, but he also has a service, mainly
Mm,
service.
he sells a service. I'll say he sells a service, and
Okay.
all his contractors get um, are contracted. So he, charges a little bit over the contract. So let's just say, as an example, I'm giving you more than you want to know, probably. Let's say
I'm
I'll make
very
the analogy.
analytical, so I get into the weeds oftentimes. So we'll try to keep it high level here.
Let's say he gets 90% of the commission, and he sends on to the contractor, the insurance, let's say agent, 85%. So he takes a little bit of a little bit of a margin because they do, and it's only been around for a few years, but it's a small spiff as they call it. And then his goal is to get to $50 million gross, et cetera, et cetera. But again, they have everything's kind of all over the place as far as marketing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And he's not unique, honestly, with a lot of the business owners that I work with. So they're trying to stretch themselves very thin, and they're going in a lot of different directions without having a solid
Mhm.
strategy plan or roadmap to get there. And
I would
so
agree with that. Yeah.
oftentimes what I do is I literally look at it from a holistic standpoint. I look at their internal processes, I look at their internal, external communication, not only with their clients, but what's their visibility? What's their, I do an audit. So what's their footprint out on the internet? What's their social look like? Do they have bad reviews? What's
Mm.
their social footprint in general? What's their visibility, credibility? Have they won awards? I look at every single thing you can imagine. I look at their website. What does their content look like? And so if he is kind of in that growth stage, it sounds like, or is he a startup?
Growth stage because it's
Growth
only
stage.
been I
Okay.
think 4 years.
Yeah. So I've even worked with companies that have been around for 20 years. And believe me, their departments are in silos. The right hand doesn't know what their left hand is doing. They're expending enormous amount of the revenue going in different directions. And so
Yep.
without that solid plan and that strategy, um, roadmap and that plan, they're not going to get there because they're just going to keep bleeding money in different directions. And so if they don't have a solid marketing and publicity plan for those ad dollars, are they spending the ad dollars on the right platforms? What is their content saying? What is, all the different things as it relates to marketing. But before you kind of leap, as I keep saying, before you jump, you've got to have a solid structure. And what are your goals and objectives for that? What's your mission? What's your why? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 3 years? And so if owners and leaders don't know the answers to those questions and they don't have a business plan, we kind of take a step back and say, okay, let's look at the foundation. Let's look at your business model. Are there things we need to tweak? Are there things that are really successful? Maybe it's one product that's really, really making a ton of money, but yet they're launching in all these different areas. Well, why don't we really grow that one product or that one service that's really hitting it out of the ballpark and go deep and really, really, expand in that profit margin instead of a loss leader in all these other different avenues. And so it really depends on the business and what model and where their goals and objectives are. And then I take a customized approach to expanding that. So it really
Look
just
at
depends
you.
on.
That'd be very good. You should talk to. I should get you guys in touch.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I would love that. We can definitely help them. That's for sure.
their group does need help. I have an idea. So we're getting close to the end. I have an idea. So I'm going to be at a meeting here in a while with a huge number of people. It's a convention, and I said to the guy who's putting it together, "Hey, I need to interview 100 people for our podcast. We're going to do little snippets, and I'm going to throw you the same questions. I'm going to ask all these people. You ready?
Okay.
Oh, hopefully it's going to be. Oh no, hold on. Luckily we can cut this out. I think I remember him. Let's see here. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. Question number one: what got you to this point that you're in your career or your business thus far? What's the number one reason you're successful? Really, could be the question.
I think it all boils down to that human connection. I was in corporate America for 20 plus years and different market segments. And what was missing and what I found out is a lot of these stakeholders, the leaders, were just focusing on profit and revenue and really thinking that their clients were numbers, their employees were numbers, their leads were numbers, and there was not that human connection. And what I found in the missing gap of all of these executive positions that I've ever been in is that human connection, building up those programs internally to help employees retain and be desirable to want to work for that organization. So that employment branding, we specialize in that as well. Employee branding is so important for that retention and to attract the right employee. And oftentimes these larger companies, they lose sight. They just think about profits and revenue and driving business and numbers, and they forget about that human element. And so, how do we want to create a better world, not only just for our businesses, but for our community and our lives? And so, creating that passion, um, aligning that passion and profit is essential. And that's why I got into the business I did. There was that missing gap of that give back and creating that purpose in business, not just for creating profit. Everybody knows that if you're not profitable, you're not a business, you're a hobby. And so at
Mhm.
the end of the day, if if you're missing that human element and you don't have that leadership skills at the top, your business will never be successful. People will work in silos, they will leave your company, they will, share trade secrets, they won't be loyal, whatever that is. And so creating that legacy, that's what I help businesses do most oftentimes is really think through those whys and how they can align profit and purpose and create that legacy to build a better business and a better world within their own community and
Good
at large.
stud reply to that one. Nice. Look at you. Um, All right. So the second question again, I'm going to ask, these 100 people who are doing the podcast interview, and just like you're responding. Thank you, by the way, for doing this. I know it's kind of a
Sure,
weird
no, I'm
process.
happy to
What
help.
business automation are you? That's the new tagline, and we've been doing it since, well, really 2010, but we started in 2018 with AI, but mainly because we wanted to automate everything,
Sure.
because we knew that was going to come down the pike, and it certainly is nowadays. What would you say you're doing as far as AI or business automation?
Yeah, I think oftentimes uh, business leaders are, not necessarily they're at the helm of their organization, but they're not in the weeds. So they might not be early adopters. I talk to CEOs, CFOs, and all the C-suite business owners pretty much consistently every week in some way, shape, or form. And they often aren't the early adopter of technology. It's their, technology team, or maybe it's their marketing manager that takes a few classes. And so for me, I've always been that early adopter in technology because you have to stay ahead of the game or you're going to be extinct like the dinosaurs. If you're not keeping up with technology, and it's hard because you really have to carve out that time in that space to take webinar classes, or maybe you outsource that component and you have a coach that's really helping um, to shape that portion of your business. So I love it that you started AI, way back when, and sounds like you've been an early adopter as well. For me, I don't think AI will ever replace the human connection. There's pros and cons as we talk about technology, automation, you know, artificial intelligence, and so I use it as a big component of my business. It never replaces, me completely. Writing content or anything like that, but it really helps to kind of sharpen that or use that for administrative opportunities and cost savings. You could do cost savings analysis on the fly. Excel spreadsheets. It can do all sorts of things, and so it's that collective knowledge. Will never be smarter than AI because it's a collective,
Yeah, totally.
um, you know, technology, and so you have to be very careful about copywriting. And I'm an author, and I'm in a number of business book series out there called The Art of Connection. I've been in 5 different books. And so, as an author, you have to be very careful with the things that are put into print and copywriting. And I help other authors as well. And so it's challenging as a business owner because you certainly don't want AI to take over your business when it comes to strategy and all of that. But I think leadership and strategy are the two things that um, you really have to have that human connection um,
I'll
because
eschew the other questions I was going to ask, but I want to talk about your book. What year did it, or your books? What year did it come out? And then let's hear a little bit about that because I think that'd be kind of cool.
yeah. So I don't know if you can see it here. It's called The Art of Connection. And
Oh, look
so
at you! Yeah, look at that. Nice. That
yeah,
looks
so you'll
cool.
see that a lot on LinkedIn. I'm also, it's on my website and various other social media platforms, but it's 365 days. This year, the theme is abundance. So it's different authors, different business owners, influencers that are not just co-authored, but contributing authors. So I'm a contributing author. So it's 365 days of golden nuggets of how to help businesses really think about um, abundance from a business standpoint. And so each year there's a different theme. And I was kind of at the beginning part of this project. I helped the CEO and owner of the company with a lot of strategic fractional CMO work with helping to cultivate the sales strategy and the pricing models and all of that, not only just to capture the most um, I guess the top business owners in the marketplace, the people who really have things to say. It's a cultivated opportunity and community. It's people who have that heart center approach to business that are invited into the book. So not everybody are invited, and it's going to be housed in the Library of Congress. So that's huge. It just went international.
Laurel,
I
stud.
know, right? It went international bestseller uh, as well. And so there's a journal book. I have it on my bookshelf over here, but it's 365 days of abundance journaling. So it's all the different quotes. and then a place to journal. So I just talked to a CEO yesterday, and he said, I won't even begin to tell you his experience level. It just blew me away. I almost had imposter syndrome just, chatting with him, because he has been a CEO of major corporations that you and I buy from and love over the years. And he said it was the one thing that I saw on LinkedIn. We've been chatting since 2021 from a business standpoint, leadership skills, um,
Hmm.
mental health with how it affects business owners and entrepreneurs. He's like, it was the book that drew me to you. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, your abundance mindset, your the way that you have that heart-centered approach to business. He's like, that just resonated me. I can't even say the word. It resonated with him more than business strategy or profit margins or anything else I could say from a business standpoint. He was like, it was the heart-centered approach. And so 5 years I've been involved with this project. And so it started, to answer your question, I think it was 2019, 20. We started, I started helping the CEO kind of flesh some of that out, starting, pre-sales and thinking about, who to invite into the book, and how do we really vet those authors out, and how do they not use AI to write their piece as well? Because oftentimes people go, oh, I'll just have chat GPT write my book. Well, no, you really can't do that. So yeah, so it's been everything from gratitude mindset, abundance mindset, how to network, and really think about those relationship building opportunities and not sales first. And so those different series, this is our fifth year. And so it's been wonderful, and just really using that as almost like a business directory. Looking on, let's say, January 3rd, you look on January 3rd and you read the quote and the thought, and you see the business information in there, and you think, wow, that really resonated with me. I think I'm going to reach out to that person on LinkedIn, or I think I'm going to pick up the phone and call them and have a chat and talk about their business and why did that resonate with them. And so not only is it a business, in my mind, business development tool, but it's a sense of community with other like-minded authors and business owners. So yeah, I love.
Nice. That's very cool. Yeah, that's a cool story, by the way, with that CEO. So wow. So let's do a real quick reset before we sign off. It's Laurel Pendle. Wow, we've had a good conversation, really good conversation. I could totally see how someone would want to gravitate towards you to take their business to the next level. And once again, this is kind of French, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Just in case, again, because I always seem to forget, but I know we touched on it earlier. But how does someone get a hold of you if they're interested?
Sure. So I'm on all the different socials. LPBC Services is the name of my company. I'm the founder, and my business website is laurelpendle.com. That's LAURELPENDLE.com.
Good times, man. I totally appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And everyone out there, thank you very much. I know you could be doing a lot of things out there with your time, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch and listen. Once again, this is Ken French telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're here with the Vast Voice. Thanks.